Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another episode of Ruthless. We are on season 5, episode 18. We're at the finale, entitled Calamity. Things are coming to a head. There was a lot of stuff going on. Some stuff they could have left out and gave us more to keep our appetites going until next season, but either way. And let me just go ahead and add here that I think that season 6 is probably going to be the last season because there's only so much of the FBI back and forth, being caught, not being caught. There's only so much more that we can do, right? So my prediction is definitely season 6 is going to be the final one. So either way, we pick back up with Obadiah catching the Three Stooges, which is Joan, River, and Zane, trying to escape. And River is not going down without a fight. Your boy has found his cojones, and he's about to do what he got to do. So he's going to use the same move he used on Andrew. He's going to use it on Obadiah. He kicked him in the balls, and he runs off. And basically leave the girls behind because, girl, y'all already caught. It is what it is. And of course, he's not going to get very far. He's not going to get out the compound. We've already seen pictures and projections with him, being in the position he ends up in at the end of the episode. But he going to fight to the end, to the death of it, and I'm okay with that. All right, so the FBI is getting ready to go to the place where River said that they were going to meet him at, outside of the old mill or whatever it is. And of course, they're not going to be there because they've gotten caught. But they're still preparing to breach the fence later into the night. Like, hey, we're going to go get them, but we're still going to move forward with breaching the fence overnight. And we're prepared to take down any adversary that's going to come up against us and in the meantime. And so Agent Duncan tells them, hey, since we can't be sure who Andrew is and y'all are not sure if he's with us or if he's been compromised, let's go ahead and treat him like a foe. So Andrew, you might be out of steam as well, but Andrew has a lot going on. Now he's being treated like a foe by the FBI if they so breach the fence, and something else is going to happen to him in this episode. And Andrew has a lot going on. Again, there's going to be a million moving parts. There's utter chaos. It's given like they've been painted into a corner, and now some extreme stuff is about to happen. All right. So Obadiah runs up to tell the heist the news about River, Joan, and Zane. And of course, he can almost believe the other two, like, okay, whatever, whatever. But the one about River appears to hurt the most. And that's probably because River sold him the most lies. He wasn't the most loyal. Of course, the other Daikon was. And did y'all know, I forgot to mention in the last episode, he admitted to River that he is the one that chopped Anthony Daikon's head off. Did y'all know that? And Obadiah took credit for it, but I'm sure he probably just, there's no confirmation that he did it, but he just verbally said it to River, even though Obadiah took credit. And of course, that's just to keep the fear and keep the buzz going around the compound to keep people afraid. But I'm sure he just told Obadiah, hey, come with me, give me your sword. Because remember, he also has a sword. Obadiah has an axe. So 2 sharp weapons. We automatically assumed it was Obadiah, but it was in fact the highest because he felt slighted. Now, we're going to preface that with saying, remember, he's off his rocker. He's off his meds. Daikon and Elder Mother has done a very good job for the greater part of 5 seasons with keeping him medicated, keeping him on task, making sure that he doesn't make such rash, illogical decisions. And since he's been off meds, and Obadiah kept him off meds because he, being a stepdaddy, know that he can sway his mind either way. He wants to keep this going. And I saw somebody say, sorry y'all, side note, I saw somebody say that Obadiah is probably going to try to be the new highest. And I can see that, because if that is his stepdaddy that's been the most influential in his life when his mom was alive, after his mom went through everything, he probably made the highest who he is by whatever that mental torture stuff that he knows. And I also wonder if Obadiah has a military background, because he's got the mental torture down. He's got sensory deprivation. He's got some key stuff down. I'll say that. Yeah. All right, so as the hunt continues for River, he tells Obadiah to place the children along the perimeter. The heist tells Obadiah to place the children along the perimeter of the compound, like all 4 walls, 1 every few inches, no big gaps in between. So every single child is now a human shield for him, because he knows that the FBI knows that the gap is in the fence near the old mill, because River told him that's where he's going to be at. So we know that this is a weakness in the fence, and he is not above putting these children at risk. So he now has a fortress as well as a human fortress with those children being there. So hopefully the FBI doesn't come in with guns blazing, even though we know that that agent Wazowski, or whatever his last name is trying to do the Rambo thing, even though we know that that did not work, especially in Callie's case. All right, so then he tells Elder Mother to arm her toughest women and get them ready for battle, because there's going to be a big reward for River's capture, and we need everybody that's available to do what needs to be done. And we see Elder Mother's like, okay, but she did want to let her, and she's like, okay, cool. And you can see Obadiah, and he's smiling, and he's taking delight and joy in the homicidal nature that the heist is in right now. And it really made my skin crawl, because I'm like, I know you're acting, but there's people out there that really take joy in knowing that the blood of hundreds of people could be on their hands. Because what I am going to go ahead and tell you is, I know for a fact that the heist probably won't be drinking the Kool-Aid. Obadiah ain't going to be drinking the Kool-Aid. But also, if anybody's thinking, if you're not in the pavilion, everybody's supposed to be present to drink this Kool-Aid. Who's manning the perimeter? I don't know how that works. I don't know the logistics, but there's a lot happening. There's a lot of commotion. And there's a lot of opportunity to get the hell on. All right, so Agent Duncan goes to Sheriff Conley, and he kind of needs his help to get into the mind of how somebody could end up in a situation like this. Now, this particular scene, y'all let me know, I felt like we ain't need it, because it wasn't going to help us. His implication is a little bit different. His motive is a little bit different from the people inside the compound, because he's removed. He's almost like he's a part of the network. He's a buy-in. So he's kind of like the other FBI agent that offed himself. Don't remember his name, but he's kind of like that guy. Like, he's removed, so he doesn't have to live the day-to-day that the people inside the compound have to live. So his motive is a little bit different. His flexibility is different, but here we are with the conversation. And he needs help, getting into Tyrone's mind and figuring out what's going on. And the sheriff said, listen, I'm going to help you, and that's cool and all, but my help ain't free. And Agent Duncan's like, I understand. I feel you on that. And Agent Duncan's like, listen, I've been an agent for 30 years, and, I've dealt with similar instances of things like these or whatever I've come across. But what I can't understand is how somebody like Tyrone, like a con artist, a felon like Tyrone, can corrupt the minds of hundreds of people, to include yourself and some of our best agents. Like, I just can't get into it. And he's like, well, how did you get here? Like, how did you get here? Your dad was a, blue collar worker. Your mom was a teacher, whatever their jobs were, I don't recall. But he's like running down. Of course, they've done his background to figure out, like, hey, how did he end up a part of this thing? And he tells him, like, hey, your upbringing seemed pretty decent. It wasn't really a hard knock life for you to end up in such a situation. So how you get here? And Sheriff Conley, first of all, he wanted to try to deny following Tyrone, which he probably is in line. He doesn't follow Tyrone. He knows that there's a financial interest in being aligned with Tyrone, but he doesn't really believe, he's not really drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. Okay? And so he tells Agent Duncan that America has changed. And I thought he was about to be on some MAGA type shit. And I was about to tell on Sheriff, but no. He was like, his parents, they were great, down-to-earth, working-class people, solid-earth type people. But they died broke and penniless. His daddy couldn't even afford his own cancer medication, which eventually took him out. His parents died with nothing. And so while, as great as they were, they died with nothing to call their own, that whole sob story. And then he tells him, like, even me as their son, I'm just a sheriff in a small town. There's no big payday that's involved in that, and at some point I got tired. People get tired of being the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak. Then here comes a man rolling into town that offers him a way out, that offers him some sort of solace, some reprieve from his situation, some relief from the years of mental anguish, years of struggling and worrying. And at some point, you just say, forget it. You say, forget it. I'm going to do what needs to be done. You eventually begin to want a slice of that good life, quote unquote good life eventually. And Tyrone offered him some sort of hope and a piece of the pie. And it sounds great, right? Wonderful soliloquy. However, I think he saw the money. This is my interpretation of Sheriff Conley's why. His why is he saw his parents work menial jobs, died with nothing to show for it, died being unable to even sustain their lives longer because they couldn't afford the medications and, their ailments, working class things that, we deal with quite often, right? And Tyrone basically bought him, bought his silence, bought his cooperation. That's what it was. And he said, hey, this is my opportunity not to end up like my parents. This is my way out of it. Like he said, this is my piece of the pie. Yes, by way of corruption, by way of everything else that I have to be a part of. But hey, kind of reminds you of like a kid, growing up in a less than ideal situation, seeing a drug dealer and becoming a drug dealer because, hey, this is my only little piece of success. This is my piece of the way out. This is my way to feed my family. Yeah, illegal, but this is what is available to me. And not only that, there is that small town thing where, hey, outside of Chattahoochee or whatever that city is in America, my options are bleak. So let me go ahead and take this. Yeah, it's sketchy, but this is what I got. So that's my take on it. It's not so rose colored when I say it, because I'm not really buying the whole, you wanted a little piece of the pie, you wanted somebody to give you hope. I don't buy it from Sheriff Connolly, but let me know if you do. All right. Andrew and Ruth are in the punishment trailer like two sitting ducks, like figuring out like what's going on. There's a lot of motion outside. There's a lot of scrambling. What's going on? And Ruth she's like, what time is it? She knows they were supposed to get out at 12. And she's like, I hope they made it out. I hope they... And Andrew's like, I don't know, but it kind of feels like it's late in the night, right? She's hoping and wishing that River and Joan and Zane were able to get out. And Andrew was like, yeah, I hope so too. I hope they can get out, get the FBI to come in and bust us out of the joint. But in the meantime, I need to go and let you know, like, you need to be ready. You need to be ready to fight for your life against the very next person that comes inside this punishment trailer. Like, this is all or nothing. And she's like, yeah, but, if we get outside the fence, he was like, listen, we can't even think as far as outside of the fence. We need to think outside of this punishment trailer door, and we fight for the rest. And they both know that this is their last chance, even if it costs us our life, even if we don't make it out of the fence. Once we get out of this punishment trailer, it's all bets are off. We're going to fight tooth and nail to get as far as we can get out of this place. And so Ruth is like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but don't forget about my daughter. I'm not leaving here without my child. Just so you know that. He's like, okay, cool. Okay. So we see them dragging Peter off, and the heist is like, what's wrong with him? And he's like, oh, River shot him. And he's like, oh, interesting. He didn't really care about Peter being, I don't know if he's unalived or if he's just injured, whatever his situation is right now. He was like, oh, River finally, let his balls drop. Wow. So I guess maybe he shot Peter in his attempts to escape or whatever that looks like. We don't really see how that developed. We just kind of saw that little scene. Again, doesn't really add any substance in my opinion, but who am I? Okay. So the FBI knows that River is late getting to them, and they're like, hey, something ain't feeling right. So they need to try to call him. They need to try to reach him, because they also see that there's an uptick in activity on the compound than any other night that they've been out there, which should have given them an indication like, hey, we out here preparing. They should also know that they've been preparing. Also know, hey, y'all last attempt got thwarted because there's somebody in there with the knowledge to foresee how y'all gonna be moving. Y'all need to move a little different, but they just gonna go by their little textbook responses and whatever. All right. And then they see moving closer, and they see three people, and of course some people would assume it's River, Joan, and Zane, but we know that they've been caught, so it's three other people, and we'll talk about who that is later on in the review. Okay. So Joan and Zane are in the punishment trailer. Again, this is another come to Jesus heartfelt moment that didn't add anything. Well, it added a little bit, but I'll tell you what I think. Anyway, she is over there. She's looking at Zane, and she was like, for as bleak as our situations are right now, I'm more worried about you than I am about myself, because she knows that Zane is a young girl that's just caught up in this thing. She's a bit older, and, it is what it is at this point. And so they both thought that they had found their way out, that they were so close that they could taste the freedom, and they're still stuck in this thing. And then Joan gives us some insight into her background a little bit, saying that she tells Zane, like, hey, I've been sitting here just kind of thinking about my morality and thinking about my mom over these last couple of weeks, and she's been on my mind a lot lately, and how much I hated that lady. And Zane is like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What happened? And Joan is like, the sad part about it is she ain't even do nothing. She didn't really even do nothing to me. And honestly, she was a good mom in retrospect. And Joan tells her, like, yeah, I was so mean and I was nasty to her before I ended up here. Just something she regrets. And she said the only slight is that the lady was strict. She was just very strict. And she wanted me to be the best I could be. And I just simply wanted to be rebellious. Like, believe it or not, I wanted to rebel. Like, if she told me up was down, if she told me something was up, it was down. She said left, I said right. I would simply do the opposite just because she was the one that said it. And she's like, listen, had I listened to her, I would have seen the scam that Tyrone was a mile away, and I would have never ended up in this place. And the moral is this last little piece here. She was like she was dumb for searching for something that was already inside of her. And that piece right there kind of sums up the thought of how do people end up in a cult? How do people end up in a situation like this? And I probably said it in a review before, but it's a summation of they're searching externally for something that's already internal. You searching for love, girl, love yourself. You searching for friends, girl, be your own friend. Like all these extrinsic type of factors that we're looking for. And that's how somebody ends up in the situation. So the judgment, I don't have the judgment for people to end up in these situations, because it's easy. It's easy, especially with your upbringing and your socialization. Could be a lot of people. Not saying it could be me, but I'm just saying it could be a lot of people. I'm just saying. But that just kind of that gave me like, hey, she felt dumb for searching for all this crap that was inside of her. A place to belong. Girl, you have accounting skills. Go work for Bank of America. Like, make your way outside of this control, but it might be too late. Okay. Obadiah, elder mother, and the highest, they go to Ruth and Andrew, and she's playing sleep because, they were getting ready. That's the part of their plan. And he's looking at her. She's asleep, right? And he's talking to her while she's asleep, and he thinks that the baby is now a demon child, turned into a demon child because he has such a wicked mother. Okay, so that's going to be his excuse for whatever happens to Ruth. He doesn't really care about the baby because the baby has morphed into, he ain't the second coming no more. He's a demon seed because of his wicked mama. Wouldn't that make you a demon seed because of your wicked mama? Okay. Either way, Andrew tells them that Ruth might be in a coma. She hit her head when they threw them in there, and she ain't woke up since. And they can't be bothered with it. They don't give a damn. But he tells Andrew that he's disappointed because he let River beat him. And then he tells Andrew that he was supposed to die tonight, but he might need him. Like, we need as many men as we can because this might be our last night. And then he tells Obadiah, like, hey, put him to work. So remember, he don't really have a beef with Andrew other than he lost the fight against River. Well, now that River shows to be a deserter or whatever, he's kind of been back sold into Andrew, which will change again in about 2 minutes. Either way, then he tells the other mother, hey, you need to make sure that she does not die, because I need her alive to withstand all of the torture and punishment that me and you are going to give her. So you go ahead and take care of her. Make sure she doesn't die, because it's not enough that she's going to perish in here from a head injury or whatever else that could happen in this camp. I want her to suffer every second in whatever's left of her life. Okay, so as soon as the highest leaves, he can't be bothered, and elder mother is turning her back to leave as well. She takes Ruth takes her hand chains and puts it around elder mother's neck, because she's about to escape. She's about to do as much as she can to get up out of there. She better get a baby. She's headed to the sawmill or whatever the place is. Right. All right, so the FBI runs up on the trio, and it's not River, Joan, and Zane. It is George, Lewis, and Eli. And we have succeeded. We got 3 people off of it. When I told you I breathed a sigh of relief, we got 3 people off of this compound, safe and unscathed. Maybe Paula. We'll know what happened to Paula. Either way, we got 3 people off of this compound. And they seem to be surprised, that River, Joan, and Zane are not with them, but they were on a separate mission. Their mission just took effect a lot sooner, so they were a little bit further along in getting the hell up out of there once, night fell. Either way, in my opinion, I put in my notes that they're doing too much talking. We're sitting here asking questions. Mind you, the people are still walking to them. Hey, River's not with y'all. No, what happened? Oh, they castrated me. They poked my eyes out. Oh, I'm here just to help them, blah, 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 blah. Like, we're talking outside of the gate. Not me, baby. It would have been knees to chest because I would have been running as far as I could get away from the compound. I'll talk to y'all later because there's still people with armed guards out there, everything. You talk to me at the hospital. I'm finna go ahead and head out. That really pissed me off because we ain't finna stand. We still within the kill range. Keep walking. Annoying. Oh. All right, so Ruth, she gets the keys and she goes to Joan and Zane. And she's surprised to see them in there. I think she was really just going to free whoever were in the punishment trailers, whoever just happened to be in there. She's surprised to see them in there and not freeing. So they have to tell her like, hey, girl, I got caught. Blah, 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 all that other stuff. And she was like, okay, cool. We can still run. Like, I got the key. We can keep pressing forward. She's like, let's go get Callie. Let's head out. We're done with this place. Like, I'm not looking back no more. And Joan is tasked with breaking the news to her that Callie is no longer with us. And at first, she's in denial. She's not buying it. She's like, I know y'all didn't want to wait on her, but this low? And they're like, nah. Like, no. It's true. It's true. And she knows it. She knows it in a body, in her soul, because she felt it. And they tell her like, yeah, they blew her up. And of course, it's way too much to bear. When I tell you I cried like a dog, oh my God. Cried like I knew Callie personally. And just, that pain and that anguish that Ruth was experiencing, it was a lot. It was a lot. Of course, she broke down and she can't believe it. Of course, how dare I bring my child into the situation and my child ended up unalived. It was a lot. Very much emotional. That's just all I got to say about that. She somehow found a way to pull herself together. Don't know how she did it, but she was able to muster up enough to pull herself together so we can get out of this punishment trailer. And they're ready to run again, but Ruth was like, y'all go ahead. Like, still got business on this compound. She cannot leave. And then they're hiding. They hear people coming, they're hiding, and they see that River has been captured. So now he's getting dragged back to the pavilion. And they know, like, hey, and they're looking like, what can I do to help him? And Joan is like, what can we do to help him? And Ruth is like, nope, ain't nothing we can do. The only thing y'all can do is help. The only way y'all can help him is by getting the freedom and getting the help to come in. That's all that we're going to be able to do. River's on his own. Too bad. All right. So the heist is beating River black and blue when Obadiah tells him that George Lewis and Eli have escaped. And now it's time to ring the bells and put everybody on high alert and get that Kool-Aid done because we're losing people. The FBI is closing in on us. My trusted servants are closing in. Like, what else is left? Ain't no getting out of this unscathed. And then he summons Elder Mother, and she's still alive. Ruth didn't choke her long enough, in my opinion. And tells him, and she does have to tell him that Ruth tried to unalive her. And unfortunately, Andrew has the god-awful, the most horrible timing ever. And he comes walking up in his purple gown and he's ready to work, and they're looking at him like, you in the punishment trailer with Ruth. What y'all had to do? Y'all was planning this, right? And he is immediately knocked out because they think he has something to do with it. Not only that, but his FBI cell phone falls out of his pocket or wherever it is. And so they call the FBI. And he tells them that, hey, you stole our brothers, and if you don't want 600 people's blood on your hands, you need to back off. And now they know, like, he ain't really a big bluffer, so we need to back up. So the negotiator advises them, like, hey, y'all need to text him and let him know that we are backing up. This ain't, we don't want no smoke right now, because y'all know if he will sacrifice a little girl, he'll definitely sacrifice the rest of the people in here. So go ahead and let him know. Okay? And I think it's just a tactic just to get them to back up so he can do whatever else he needs to do. So then he tells the other mother, hey, go ahead, prepare to punch. get the people in the pavilion. It's time. We see Zane and Joan. They're making a run for it again because Ruth still has business there. And she's not leaving. So they're like, okay, peace to the Middle East. I gotta go. And we see Manny and the other soldier, and they run smack into Zane and Joan. And they're like, and she's like, Manny, just Zane is like, Manny, just let us go. Just let us go. And Manny ain't having it. Mind you, Manny was on one of the original plans. He was on the plan with George and Lewis to escape. He had a role in that, so I'm not sure. Maybe he's afraid now. He's just, doing what he's told because he sees how people turn out when they don't. So, my will to fight and get up out of here is over. Whatever. So they've been caught, and of course they're going to be dragged out to the pavilion as well. All right. So we see Elder Mother, and she's handing out the juice to everybody in the pavilion. We see Joan, Andrew, Zane, and River kneeling in the pavilion. We see the Heist, and he's there to give us his final speech. But he's not really even a speech. He's just kind of coming to unravel. He's like, you get a punch. You grab a punch. You better grab that cup. You get a punch. Like, he's just irate. He's like, you get a punch. It's time to meet Duraku. Like, it's time. He is insistent, like, you drink your punch. Now, mind you, he didn't give a cup to Joan. What I thought is he was going to get the punch made and give it to Joan, Andrew, Zane, and River, and they all have to drink it. And while everybody watches to make an example out of them, right? No, it's the people that's sitting in the audience that has their cup. And he's like, no, put your cups in your mouth. Drink. It's time. And we see people with cups to their lips actually turning them up. Like, if you look out into the sea, it's almost like every person in that pavilion were cooperating. Now, I doubt it can't be 600 people because you got all the kids at the gate. You got guards manning every station. All of this still happens simultaneously. So we're just going to assume that this is just the people that are just lounging around inside the compound. Either way, we see people literally tilting cups up, and this is how the daggone season ends. A cliffhanger for sure. I don't know if the FBI gonna kick in the gate, a bomb gonna drop. Like, what is gonna save these people? These are too many people to perish, or maybe just that small group of people in the pavilion will perish, and we'll deal with taking the rest of us out later. But like I said, I know that Obadiah and the Highest, they're not drinking the Kool-Aid. Now, Elder Mother, she's looking forward to drinking a whole gallon of it, so she's more than happy. Either way, that's how the season ends. That's how it ends. We see Ruth at some point. She goes, while all of this is happening, while Zane and Joan are trying to get away, she goes into the Highest's trailer. I'm assuming she's gonna hide out in there and try to unalive him. I don't know. That would be amazing, but we got a whole nother season. I'm pretty sure we have season 6 coming up, so we'll see how that works out. That's the end of the season. Let me go and give you our predictions for season 6. Like I said at the top, I think season 6 is the final season. Like, I think it's time. You could only run this for so long. I think season 6 is going to be the final season. I don't know. This is just a long shot. But I think Ruth is going to be sitting in the Highest's trailer waiting on him to get back so that she can unalive him. And Obadiah's going to take over. Because he's been working on, like, recruiting people very closely. And he's almost like the original Tyrone, in my opinion. Like, so I don't know. What do y'all think? And not only that, you have people drinking the punch, but we're not all here in one accord. Like, this is supposed to be a one band, one sound type situation. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. Who else do we get? George, Lewis, and Eli. Glad they made it out. Now, Eli, I'm glad you made it out, but you were new here. You were new here. You had a little bit more time to put in, but we appreciate you. Now that they've seen George and Lewis in their conditions, that should be even more motivation for the FBI to go in, or are they just going to back off? They don't want these people's blood on their hands. Are they going to go back and regroup? Potentially. Either way, that has been season 5, episode 18 of Ruthless. What do y'all think? What are y'all predictions? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's talk about it there. Very good season. Whole lot of developments. A lot that I would have never expected. I got a few ideas if you want to put me in the writer's room. Now, I don't know how to write nothing but my name. I mean, I could come up with something. Mr. Perry, you need a new writer. Whatever. Either way, yeah, very good season. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments, and we'll move on to another show in the meantime. That's it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is you feel like doing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.